Who do you admire and why? The reasons someone tells you they admire someone else are actually their values.
How did you decide this was your purpose?
Relationships are the key to everything, and it either becomes your greatest source of power or your biggest energy leak.
How do we turn our relationship into a superpower instead of an energy suck?
Practicing consistent courage.
With all of the things pulling at our attention as a high performer, to actually get to connection takes a ton of effort.
If you think about the stages of relationships, we have
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch, and it is fun. Let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
Welcome to the Sell Anything podcast. I'm your host, JL. I'm here with Melissa Nanavati. She has a superpower. She is living her purpose, helping high performers specifically in their relationships. And for those of you that are in a relationship, you know how vital that is. I am super pumped on this.
I'm super excited to be here.
Super excited. So relationships are paramount. Any job I have ever had, if my wife buys in, it's so much easier.
Yes.
And vice versa. If I buy into what she's doing and support her, it's so much easier. But talk to us specifically about what you're doing, like who you are.
Ooh, deep question.
Yes.
For me, I am a person living my purpose.
Okay.
I have always felt that relationships are the key to everything. That relationships can actually fuel your purpose, and it either becomes your greatest source of power or your biggest energy leak. I'm a big believer that if you close the energy leaks at home, you can show up better in your work.
I agree.
And that is the foundation of what I do, and specifically with high performers.
Okay.
And I love working with high performers because there's a lot of incredible information out there about relationships, about marriages, about dating. But specifically, the challenges that high performers face are very unique. And
Okay.
they're under a different level of pressure. And so taking a systems approach to relationships, and that's actually why I call myself a relationship architect, because it's
Okay.
more about developing the frameworks and giving people the exact tools that they can implement that day.
How do we turn our relationship into a superpower instead of an energy suck?
Through practicing consistent courage.
Okay.
And so I really get into the 4 different types of relational courage in the work that I do. And then how do you regularly practice those in your relationship, whether that's through routines or the frameworks that I share to actually navigate those hard conversations effectively in a way that drops the defense for both people.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I watched some of your stuff prior to
Appreciate
you
it.
coming on, and you said in dating someone, there's an icebreaker question that you ask. Would you mind sharing that on how to discover how they're open they are to stuff?
One of my favorite first date questions that I share with clients, and even I actually have a list of 30 early dating questions that people who are navigating the dating process can actually refer to. And one of them is, what is something you've changed your mind about recently?
Okay.
What I love about this question is not necessarily what they say as the answer, but it'll show you how open-minded that person is. Because really what we're doing in the dating process is we're trying to figure out values and not just compatibility, but how receptive someone is, especially as a high performer whose life is filled with challenges and new goals. You need to know that your partner is also on the same growth path. So their answer, if they have one, regardless of what it is, shows how growth-minded they are.
Beautiful.
And that's why I love that question.
I love that. That is a great question.
Thank you.
Okay, so my question now for you, and this is kind of off topic, but I've heard some of your story. So can we go, can I ask whatever questions?
Absolutely.
I love it. Okay. So you, on a whim, just decided to move to Scottsdale because you felt like your partner was here. Is that kind of, am I going down the right path?
That's a pretty good summary, actually. And really what was happening was I was on a big personal development path for, I would say, it never ends, but for about a decade. I was systematically working through anything that I thought was going to inhibit me from finding my future partner.
Okay.
I actually went on over 100 first dates before I met my now husband.
Holy Hannah.
Yeah, It was a lot.
Yeah,
And
it is a lot.
through that process, though, I learned that there was things that I was contributing to. And so if I was taking full ownership of what growth needed to happen within me before I was ready for a really amazing partner, I actually decided to go to something called 40 Years of Zen. So
Okay.
it is a 5-day neurofeedback meditation retreat. So you are hooked up to electrodes, and in real time, you are hearing if you're in the correct brainwave state to be making new neural connections.
Really?
Yes. So I would hear gongs every time I was in the alpha brainwave state, which is the creative brainwave state when you're in flow and you're creating new connections.
Okay.
And so we were training in it all week, working through systematically trauma, old things, and reassociating traumatic memories with forgiveness and getting to a point where you're no longer carrying around that pain. And now you can think back about your past and only feel good.
Cool.
And on the last day, we were doing work in gamma, which is the brainwave state that's above high beta. It's the highest frequency. So this is typically the brainwave state where people have Kundalini awakenings, visions.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I had a vision of my future partner that was so real that it propelled me to break my lease, leave my home of 12 years,
Wild.
and move states away. I'd been living in Portland, Oregon for 12 years prior to this move.
Okay.
And everyone thought I was nuts when I did this. My
Yeah.
friends and family thought it was a really wild move, but I had to answer the call. And thank goodness I did, because within 2 months of moving here, I met my husband.
So cool. Cool. And how long you guys been married?
We've been married now a little over 2 years.
Wild. Going good?
Going amazing. Yeah, we're
Awesome.
finally actually having our wedding ceremony. We did a courthouse wedding. Some people get married for love. Other people get married for money. We got married for taxes. And we love to say that.
For real?
Yeah, for real, because
Okay.
we had gotten engaged after 2 months of dating. We went really deep very quickly, though. It wasn't just because of this vision. It was
Yeah.
that intentionality. And even through the first couple months of us dating, we had developed a lot of the frameworks that I now teach. And it was through that process that we also realized the end of the year was coming up. It had been a very good financial year for me. He had spent a lot of money, and it would save us tens of thousands of dollars in taxes if we got married before the end of the year.
Smart.
So
Well
I
played.
thought you might appreciate that. We
Not
got
tax
married
advice,
for
but
taxes.
Smart. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So I'm really so curious about this 40 year.
4 years of Zen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. I have so many questions. So how did you get into this 40? It's just on your 10-year journey of self-development. This is a course you stumbled upon and here we are. Or?
So this program was something that I had actually wanted to go to for years. I had
Okay.
heard about it first on Dave Asprey's podcast, and he is considered the father of biohacking.
Okay.
And he created this 5-day mental training camp, essentially,
Okay.
that was specifically designed for high performers to improve cognition, to improve all sorts of things. And this had been on my list once I hit a certain financial milestone in my business at the time that I was going to gift myself. And
Cool.
so I had actually returned, I had gone there the first time the year before, and then I returned for a second round specifically to work through and heal my anxious attachment.
Okay. Can we dive into that?
Yes.
What anxious attachment? Talk to me about that.
So anxious attachment is, there's typically 3 categories of attachment styles. And
Okay.
this is a framework that I did not create, but that is one that's been around a little bit in the psychology space. And so there's anxious attachment, secure attachment, and avoidant.
Okay.
They are what they sound like. So
Okay.
anxious attachment, you're always looking at the worst case scenario. You're always assuming the worst. You need constant validation. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
you don't feel safe.
Makes everybody feel anxious.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's
And
an
then
uncomfortable way to navigate.
And so you were diving through that specifically.
Specifically, I was there with the intent to work through that. And in the course of those 5 days, I transitioned to a secure attachment. And
Cool.
what better proof than to marry somebody who was going at the time to Antarctica alone for 4 months that I would barely have contact with.
Yeah, that would be anxious.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would make anyone anxious.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was still on board even
Yeah.
with that. I used to be the person that would get nervous if I didn't get a text back within the hour.
Really?
So the level of transformation that I got to experience
gosh.
was unreal.
Yeah. So okay, there's so much to unpack right now. So what does a secure attachment look like? So do we want attachments? Attachments are good?
Attachment is just the way we navigate our relationships.
Okay.
Attachments are not good or bad, they just
Okay.
are.
Okay.
And it's the way we navigate the world. And once we understand what we have tendencies towards,
Okay.
we can start either working towards having a more secure attachment or work within the parameters that we are confined to.
Okay.
And so with a secure attachment, you take information, you assess it, you don't create a bunch of stories
Okay.
based on minor interactions. You're not hyper vigilant.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what was the next one?
Avoidant.
So you just don't even want to look at it.
Exactly. Or you tend to pull back when it feels too emotionally intense.
Gotcha.
That's a very simple framework to be able to think about it.
Yeah.
Anxious, you're creating stories in your head and you need lots and lots of validation. Secure, you take the information in, you're not creating unnecessary stories. And then avoidant, it starts to
don't
get
know
too
that.
deep, I'm out.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. So now with high performers.
Yes.
So here's the cool thing. The demographics of what we've seen since we started the show is we've got basically 18-year-olds to 44-year-olds make up our whole demographic, mostly men, mostly
Awesome.
high perform. And I would assume if they're looking at sales, it's twofold. One, they want to learn, what are the sales guys trying to get on me now, so I fall for their tricks, which I don't think we have a ton of those. And then we have those that are like, I want to be better. I want to make some money. I'm new to sales. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I'm in like sponge mode, picking everything up I can about sales. So what are like the traits of a high performer? What are the pitfalls they need to look for in their relationships? Like, and how do they preventively keep their relationships intact as they are pursuing that high performance? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
At a very basic level, I think a high performer is somebody who has ambition,
Okay.
whose actions align with their intentions, and a growth mindset.
Okay.
Very simple. And I think that there's a lot of people that fall within that category, especially your listeners.
Yeah.
And with that, some of the pitfalls is when there's a little bit too much rigidity when it comes to the dating or relationship process.
Okay.
What I've found in working specifically with high performing men is there has been this tendency to say it's my way or the highway
Yeah, that's the thing.
versus a
Yeah.
co-creation.
Cool.
And so my biggest recommendation is to approach conversations like a negotiation, like a co-creation,
Okay.
and think about how can you make it win-win for both people.
Okay.
And always looking at things instead of either or as both and.
Both and. Either or both and. So from a female's perspective,
Yes.
how does a man approach that and not make it feel so transactional? How do we or can it feel transactional? Is it okay to feel transactional?
I think it's okay and good to be direct.
Okay.
I think that it's about balancing two things.
Okay.
First is typically with high performing men, they want to be competent, right? They want to have that high degree of competence, the logic, but you need to balance that with warmth,
Yeah.
especially when men are engaging with women.
Okay.
So you need to appeal to both the logical brain and the emotional brain.
Okay.
But the foundation of that is actually creating safety in your conversations.
Okay. How do we do that? That's a good question.
Excellent question.
Okay.
The way we create safety within conversations is first by getting clear on what is our intention with this conversation.
Okay.
So if you come in and you're a little confused, but you're coming in hot, you're emotional, you're intense, that doesn't make the other person feel safe, man or woman.
True.
So the first is I'm actually going to take you through my BRAVE framework
Okay.
in
I
this
love it.
because that's actually how you navigate the hard conversations, specifically in a relationship.
Okay.
So B starts with begin within.
Okay.
And that's all about getting clear on your goals and getting into an emotionally regulated state before you engage in the conversation.
Okay.
Because if you come in and you're agitated, it's going to make the other person uncomfortable.
True.
The second is timing. So request a time to talk. Oftentimes, we are bringing issues up in relationships and dating when it's present for us, but we're not considering what state is the other person in. Is it the end of a long work day? Have they had a really hard day?
Yeah.
All these considerations. So by requesting a time to talk, and when you do this, don't just say, I want to talk. That's never a good thing to lead with.
Yeah.
And the request it always needs to be, there's something on my heart that I love to discuss with you, right? So you're speaking emotionally, but also rationally. And that's going to take people off the defensive. Or, hey, I want to look for a solution to something that's been on my heart.
Okay.
That's
okay.
one of the easiest ways to start that. And then A is for about affirming and asking.
Okay.
So if you start with affirmation in these conversations, I love the way our relationship's been going. I so appreciate the way you've been supporting me. Then you make your ask, it's going to be received much better.
True. Okay. That
That's
makes
so
ton
much
of
how you
sense.
create the safety.
So the opposite of that would be criticize and then like command somebody to do
Exactly.
something. Okay, cool.
Exactly. And even when you're going into this conversation, always assuming positive intent of the other person.
Gotcha.
Having that in your mind. You can also pre-frame the conversation, which I love when people do this, saying, hey, I'm not going to say this perfectly, but I really want to look for a solution about blank.
Gotcha. Okay.
Letting the other person know that you're not going to say it perfectly, but you're committed to figuring out this out with them, puts someone in a safe space. And then, especially with partners, touch.
Gotcha.
Hold hands the entire time you're having the conversation.
That's challenging.
It is.
'Cause especially if you don't do the first parts. If you come in hot, no one wants to give, like, whoa, you're crazy. Don't touch me.
Exactly.
Like, okay, makes sense. Okay.
But touch, and the biological reason behind this is it releases oxytocin.
Okay.
So oxytocin is the bonding hormone. It allows us to be more receptive and open. And so if you can maintain some sort of small physical touch, it's the same reason in business deals, you shake hands at the beginning and you shake hands at the end. There's actually a release of oxytocin.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
So
Okay.
it's part of what allows people to be more receptive. And so
Okay.
maintaining that physical contact, and that's actually a rule in my marriage. When we're having a hard conversation, I'll notice there'll be a moment he might pull his hand away, or I
Yeah.
might pull my hand away, and we'll rejoin because it reminds you you're on the same team.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then V is validate their lens. So I think
Okay.
we often forget to ask the other person what their experience is when we're making a request or when we're trying to talk about something.
Yeah.
And even if you can use the phrase, my lens of reality is, when you are sharing about an experience, when you are addressing an issue, and then ask, what is their lens? Because it reminds you also that your lens is not actually reality.
Yeah, it's your perspective.
100%.
That's it. Yeah.
100%. And we're never seeing the same thing.
Right.
And so that experience of asking them, what is your lens? And then validating their experience, it doesn't mean you're agreeing with them, but it
Just,
means
I
you're
hear you.
seeing them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then ending with an action plan. And that action plan may not be the action plan you came in with
Gotcha.
because it's all about co-creating. Say, hey, what do you think our solution is? That's the both and.
Gotcha. Both and, not if or.
Exactly.
Smart. So now there's a question. So Melissa, how on earth, why this? How did you decide? Okay, this is the more direct question.
Love it.
How did we decide this is our purpose? Like when I say we, how did you decide this was your purpose?
Prior to being in the relationship space, I was in the marketing space, and I actually wrote the first college textbook on social media marketing back in 2010.
Really? Cool.
And in that process, I became the ultimate researcher because with textbooks, everything you include in it has to be cited a source.
Gotcha.
And so for me, it was all about understanding not just marketing, but people.
Gotcha.
And the psychology element always fascinated me the most. And through that work, I ended up doing a lot of ghostwriting for about 8 years with different executives and ghostwriting for them specifically on LinkedIn. And in that process, I was helping them build up their personal brands, not only as an executive, but learning about them as a human.
Right.
And so I got to have this view behind closed doors of what were their relationships like. And I could tell that they were starting to share with me things that were much more personal. And I was always so honored to be privy to the things that they were experiencing. And it was through that process I realized this is eventually the work that I want to do. I was more fascinated by their relationships and being able to see what worked, what didn't. I was gathering information the whole time. And I always knew that I wanted to be in the personal development space. That was something that I knew called to me on a deeper level, but I wasn't exactly sure what that path was yet. And literally 3 weeks into dating my now husband, I was invited on stage at one of his events to explain how we were making our relationship work.
3 weeks in.
3 weeks.
So he just
3 weeks.
He threw you right into the fire.
He actually didn't suggest that I come up. He was being interviewed in a fireside chat, and the next day at the event organizer said, I want to know who the heck would date him and how are you making it work? Because he's a tad extreme, as I shared. He had been training for 4 years to attempt to be the first person to ski coast to coast across Antarctica.
Wow.
And he didn't at
Was
the
he
time.
the first?
He made it 500 miles, which is outstanding.
Okay.
But the mission didn't go quite as planned. He ended up getting diverticulitis and was medically evacuated.
Dang. How far is it?
It is roughly 1,700 miles.
500 is still a lot.
500 is still a lot. 560 days is no joke.
Yeah, no kidding.
Absolutely. And so much of that was why there was a lot of curiosity about our relationship. Even while he was on the expedition, I was doing a lot of the interviews for him for Times of India and Economic Times, and they ended up asking more about our relationship than his journey.
You just opened the can. So now
Exactly.
I'm so curious. So, yeah, what did you say? Like,
And so much of it was about how we built the support system and how we thought about our lives in seasons. Because I think that's the key, especially when you're a high performer. When you're chasing big goal, sometimes there's a distinct endpoint to the goal. There's
Yeah.
a specific revenue number you're trying to hit, growth number. Sometimes there isn't. But when there's a specific number or time frame, you can have conversations with your partner about, this is my season more of strive, this is your season of support. And you can feel good in the amount you are giving to your partner if you're clear that there's an endpoint to the season.
Okay. So have you seen it where you get a high performer that is very driven for the success of the world, and the spouse is also a high performer but has zero interest in the success of the world and is far more excited about success in the home, being to all the kids' events, doing all the stuff? Does that go across your scope?
Absolutely. And
So what happens?
It's all about negotiation and getting hyper specific about what each of you need.
Okay.
And this really dips into what I talk about as like the 4 types of relational courage.
Okay.
So you have the courage to be vulnerable,
Okay.
right? So sharing openly about your feelings. The courage to ask for what you need.
And it goes both ways, to the one who wants
And
to
the
stay
courage-
home and the one who wants to be in the marketplace.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Both people have to be
Okay.
practicing relational courage. Courage
Okay.
to ask for what you need. The courage to ask what your partner needs.
Because sometimes you don't want to know.
No. And
You're like, what you want is going to get in the way of what I want, so I don't even want to know.
exactly.
Avoidance.
Yes. Avoidance is the perfect descriptor.
Okay.
And then the 4th type is the courage to address issues head on. But the needs ones, those are particularly important in those couple dynamics.
Okay.
Because when we're talking about needs, people tend to get really broad. And
Right.
this is what I found actually in doing what I like to call the couple calibration method with some of my clients, having them sit down, actually start to discuss the needs in a facilitated way. But they tend to go really broad. So a great example is recently I was working with someone who said, I just want my husband to make us feel safe when we travel. That's my need.
So don't speed? Like, what are we talking about here? Yeah.
And that was what I helped her do was dial it down, get a layer deeper. What is one specific action your partner could do that would make that happen? Don't give the list of everything you want them to do, especially as high performers,
Yeah.
but understanding not only within yourself, but within your partner, what is the single action they could take this week that would move the needle? And so it's
Yeah.
about that level of specificity. So it's not about saying, oh, I need vacations every month, or I need you to cancel all your work meetings to come hang out with the kids.
Yeah.
It's about what is the one single action I can take this week to make you feel supported. And suddenly what I found is if couples are practicing doing this on a weekly basis,
Right.
now everything's softer because they both feel a little bit more poured into in a way they didn't before.
Wild. Okay. So needs is a big thing.
Needs is
super
huge.
direct. Okay.
Getting super crystal clear on what exactly it is you need.
Okay.
What
So-
is one action? Not, I want to feel, not vague, specific, hyper specific.
So we're not even looking for a feeling. We're not even chasing a feeling. We are chasing a specific action.
Yep. Whether that is verbal affirmation, them taking care of something at the home, skipping meetings on Thursdays because that's the night of your kid's soccer game.
Gotcha.
Pick one. And
Okay.
what I've found with couples is if they're able to get crystal clear on what is that one action and communicate it and agree upon it, both people feel a little bit softer. Now they
Gotcha.
can have more productive conversations.
Gotcha.
Now they can get on board with saving the world or whatever it is you
Yeah.
want to do. And so
Yeah.
you can have the both and
Yeah.
competing priorities. But if you are intentional and hyper specific about what are the 1 or 2 things that we can do to make each other feel supported through this very busy season,
Yeah.
it makes the whole experience better.
Can we talk vulnerable for a second?
Please.
So when your sweetheart was like, dude, I'm going to Antarctica.
Yeah.
What was your and both? Like, what were your guys' very specific?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I need, homie. If you're gonna leave, this is what I need, because I'm a recovering anxious lady. Like,
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
So the 2 things for me while he was training, because not only was he training, we were traveling 80% of the year. We spent multiple months in Norway, in Alaska, and Iceland because
that's
we were
where the
chasing
was.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're chasing snow. So I'm no longer in my own environment. I don't have any of the things I don't even speak the language
Yeah.
in Norway
Yeah.
to communicate with anyone.
Right.
So the 2 things that move the needle for me, flowers every week, small, but I'm a gifts gal. I
Yeah.
love flowers.
Okay.
Very small action. Surprise me with flowers once a week. Whenever the other flowers are dead, I want that they can magically appear.
Yeah.
And the amount of joy that brought me was probably unreasonable.
Did he hit it?
Yeah, he did every single week. Every single week. Check. He still does to this day.
There we go.
And the second one was a nightly gratitude check-in. I'm also big on words of affirmation.
Okay.
I love to be verbally affirmed. You tell me I did a good job, I'll keep doing whatever it is, not indefinitely, but for that period of time.
Yeah.
And so every night we would go through the list of things we were grateful for from each other that the other person did. And it is
Gotcha.
still one of our nightly rituals.
There you go.
And for him, it was simply not having to think about cooking, cleaning. I took care of all of our house duties for the time leading up to that. I was also providing for us financially.
Right.
And the agreement was when he came back, because every dime he made had to go towards fundraising.
Yeah.
So he was not contributing to our home financially at all. So it was a big moment of trust for me. And now that he's been back, the tables have shifted and now we're both contributing financially, but now I'm feeling poured back into. We're redistributing the way we do chores and everything within the home. But for him, that was big. Just taking that off his plate, he didn't have to worry about money for the year. Huge, because he was fundraising $1.1 million. This is an expensive expedition.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that doesn't count the cost of training. That year, we probably spent $300,000 on all of the training trips and everything that we needed to do.
Oh my gosh.
And yes, to answer the question of why, if anybody listening is curious, it was both. Every goal should have a both selfish and a selfless why.
Okay.
Selfishly, he wanted to break a world record.
Do it, dude.
Understandably,
Send it. Yeah.
right? See what he could achieve.
Yeah.
And selflessly,
Does he have the record? Is 500 the record?
it is not actually the record. But
Let's go beat this guy. Let's go back out there.
that's a whole other conversation.
My bad. Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
And so much so, the selfless why was very spiritual. Seeing what is revealed in that level of suffering and solitude.
Okay.
He still ended up spending 60 days completely alone.
Golly. In the cold.
In the cold.
Where you sleep on
White
the ground?
nothing. In a tent.
Did he get eaten by he didn't get eaten by a bear?
There's actually no life. No life in Antarctica except for penguins on one corner. Arctic means bear.
Yeah.
Antarctic means no bear. So Antarctica, no bear.
No bear.
Yeah. So he was safe, but he was geographically the most isolated human life form on the planet.
Hold on now. Okay, so how cold does it get?
In Celsius, hard to say exactly the conversion temperatures, but it's definitely well below our experience of zero. Probably 20, 30 degrees at a minimum.
Even in the day?
And in the day, it's 24 hours daylight.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't get dark.
No, not for that time of the year. Antarctic summer, 24 hours daylight.
Whew. Okay. So now here's my question.
Yes.
What was your selfless goal for because it's a big sacrifice.
It was huge.
That's a big deal.
It was.
Especially like the training trips and you're by his side the whole entire time. Like, so what was in it for you?
For me,
Yeah.
so much of it was, I knew this was going to be a spiritual journey for myself.
How so?
The spiritual journey in being able to not only be the rock for myself, but for both of our families. He would call me on a satellite phone once a day.
Okay, so
And
you
check
did get
in.
to talk to him every day.
Yes,
Okay.
every day, a few minutes. I would track his mileage. I would take in the information.
Yeah.
And I was constantly supporting both of our families. I was talking to news. I was supporting him at some of his lowest moments because one of the rules out there is no bad news.
Gotcha.
Because what is he going to do thousands of miles away in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
He's trying to achieve a dream he's been working towards for years.
Yeah.
And so much of this too was he had been training for this 3 years before we met. I knew if I was going to be in it, I was going to be in for the ride.
Okay, so let's go back to the first date.
Yes.
So of your hundreds of first dates, did you lead with the question, hey, what's something you've changed your mind on recently? Did you lead with that?
I did not lead with that because we had actually had a chance to interact in group settings 3 times before our first date.
Okay.
So it was a different way of kind of
wasn't a
navigating.
blind date.
It wasn't a blind date. We had
Okay.
interacted a few times. Actually, the first time I met him, it was at his house because he was having this house party and he was known as that person that brings people together. A mutual
Okay.
friend had introduced us.
The dude who wants complete solitude is the guy who brings people together.
Ironically, he
Okay.
is so much extremes in both ways. If he's not suffering immensely, he loves to be extremely cozy. It's got to be 75 degrees under a weighted blanket. The paradox of
Yeah.
the experience.
Yeah.
So on our first date, one of the questions I did ask, though, that I always recommend to clients and is in that list of 30 questions is, who do you admire and why? And the thing to pay attention to is the why, not who. Because the reason someone tells you they admire someone else are actually their values.
Okay.
Those are the values they're aspiring to be. Because if you ask someone, what are your values? They're going to tell you an answer that is aspirational, not based in who they are today and who they're actually working to be.
Okay. So you're basically based off of the neuroscience side of everything.
Yeah.
You're sneaking in on the unconscious when you're asking questions like that of like, I'm going to elicit your values without you knowing I'm eliciting your values.
Essentially.
Okay. Wild. Okay.
And why I love that, though, is because you're actually assessing for true compatibility.
Okay.
And I always joke that I married him in spite of the things he does, not because of them,
Okay.
because of his character and the
Okay.
values alignment. I had never met someone so aligned in terms of value, integrity, consistency, honesty.
Yeah.
To have that level of fortitude, to train for something like this for 4 years,
That's
dedication.
That's full-fledged dedication.
And that's the kind of man I knew I wanted to marry.
So now the cool thing is, though, if we rewind a little bit,
Yeah.
10 years on your own personal development, 40 years of Zen in 5 days,
100 first dates.
100 first dates, you had gotten so clear on the man that you wanted to marry that you probably had your own list of values that you're like, this is my dude. And then you could easily take every one of those 100 dates and be like, here's my list. Here's my ideal sweetheart. Here's my list. You're out. You're out. You're out.
It allows you to be very discerning.
Yeah. Date
Yeah.
101. That's the dude. Let's go. Here he is.
And the trick
4 months
is,
in, taxes, you're in. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the trick is to not get hyper-focused on the superficial.
Okay.
Which I think is the
What do you mean?
downfall of a lot of high performers. When they're
'Cause
making
they-
this list,
Yeah.
they're like, you need to be a certain height. You need to be a certain race.
It's a real thing.
Yes.
It's a real thing. They got to look this way. They got to
gotta
act
look-
this way. They got to say this.
If you can get your list to be down to two core categories,
Okay.
you have your values,
Okay.
character values, traits of that
Okay.
person. And the second is lifestyle values.
Okay.
Don't be obsessed with dating someone that has the same hobby, because your hobbies will change every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, you don't want to go to Antarctica, do you?
No, and I don't want to go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
And I tried dating people who only did partner dance. Partner dance was my obsession.
What's partner dance?
Different types of partner, Brazilian zouk dancing, salsa, tango,
So you're a
bachata.
dancer.
Yes,
Does
through and
does
through.
he dance?
He does dance with me.
Now.
Yes, yes. But that's part of it. So
Yeah.
the lifestyle values wasn't, do we have the same hobbies? It was, are you adventurous? I'm adventurous in my own way. I picked up and moved based on a vision
After 12 years.
after 12 years.
Yeah.
And that is the value that we aligned on. What is the lifestyle values? We both love travel. Boy, did I get a lot of travel out of that relationship.
Norway, Alaska. Here we go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And really understanding what are those core character traits, lifestyle values, and you will be able to build attraction with the right person.
Wild.
I think that
Yeah.
is something that high performers specifically underestimate, is your ability to actually build chemistry.
You can build chemistry.
100%.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so handsome. That's my chemistry. Doesn't
Not
have
at
to
all.
be that.
Not at all.
Okay.
So chemistry is actually made up from a biological standpoint of 3 core things.
Okay.
First is dopamine.
Okay.
Probably heard of dopamine, but think of
Yep.
it as your reward system in the brain.
I'm a dopamine chaser.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
I think we all do. That's
why
why
I'm
it's
in
a reward.
sales. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Go hunt it, kill it, bring it home. Yep.
Exactly. And you love having those wins. So dopamine is one of them.
Okay.
Serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. This is normally activated through sunlight, exercise, keeps you even keel,
Okay.
but having shared workouts with someone,
Yeah.
going for a walk in the sun, your mood is elevated.
Yeah.
Dopamine, having novel experiences with someone, going on a hike, trying a cooking class, doing something you haven't done before, playful competition, all activates dopamine.
Yeah.
And so that was serotonin. And then the third one is oxytocin, which that is the chemical that's responsible for bonding. And people think it's only created through touch, but it's also created through moments of vulnerability. Sharing openly activates oxytocin, which makes you feel more connected, as does holding eye contact a little bit longer than what feels normal in moments of shared joy, right? So if you're laughing with someone, we all tend to look away. We both do it. But if you're on a date, hold eye contact for just a few more seconds and you'll activate oxytocin. So chemistry
Wild.
can be created. And the one that tends to go away as we've been in relationships longer is dopamine.
Because it's not a novelty.
It's
and
not new.
Exciting. Yeah.
It's not new
It
unless
becomes
you're
numb.
intentional.
Yep.
Yes, unless you're intentional. If you're intentionally having new experiences with your partner, small ones, you have playful banter, competition, you're going to bring back dopamine and that honeymoon phase.
Gotcha. So we had a lady on in a previous episode who was an expert in ADHD.
Fascinating.
Like that's literally her whole life's work.
Wow.
That's her purpose, right?
That's incredible.
And she was talking about how ADHD people are dopamine chasers. But there's a...
My husband might have a little bit of that.
I for sure do. I do. My wife does. Like, but novelty, which the new and exciting is a big part of it. Like it has to be something that's like, oh, that's exciting to keep their attention. So that
Exactly.
makes sense to me. Okay, cool.
And again, that's a very easy thing to actually activate if you think about it. So even banter, playful competition, competing over
That's
a game
another
of...
one of the things. Competition. Yeah.
Yes. So it makes sense that you are competition driven.
Right.
If you're somebody that feels a little more dopamine deficient, that system needs more input to have more output.
I don't even know if I like the competition. I just like to win.
Exactly. Well, it's the reward,
Yeah,
right? It's the
right.
reward.
Right.
And so I always joke that I'm someone who's oxytocin deficient.
Okay.
I am super cuddly, love to hold hands, love partner dance, love getting facials, massage, all of that stuff because it fills up
Fills that cup.
oxytocin.
Wild.
We're
So
all wired a little differently.
how
So
do
if
we
you
know
know,
if we're serotonin deficient?
if your mood, you struggle with like feeling even keel, joy doesn't come as naturally, spend more time in sunlight, exercise more, build more routines.
Wild. So
Yeah.
did you get all of this neuroscience and all of this stuff as you were writing the social media book, or where did this come from?
It was actually, I've been working on the manuscript for a relationship book co-authored with my husband called Peak Performance Love.
Ooh.
And it's all
Catchy.
science-backed. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah.
And it's been about specifically helping high performers to find the one, build chemistry, and achieve success together.
Okay.
That's what we're doing with this book. And through that research, that's when I dove a little bit deeper into the biology and the neuroscience of it. But I'm a huge geek. I've always been obsessed with biology, especially that's how I got into biohacking many years ago. We have like a full biohacking space in our home. We have an infrared sauna, red light device, because my husband's an athlete, but also because I love this stuff.
Okay.
Cold plunge,
Red
all
light
of it.
is a real thing. It works.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had tremendous effects from it.
Like give like some examples. What?
So the biggest is actually for serotonin. So people who maybe struggle with mood, a little bit of red light in the morning.
That's a thing.
Exactly.
Because in our family,
Yes.
not for me specifically, because I don't mind the snow, but in the winter, there are some people in my family that are like,
Seasonal
there's no
depression.
sun, I'm not doing it. I'm like, it's not real, you're fine. But it's for real for them.
That's what my husband says
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Sounds like you have similarly wired biology,
Yeah.
but for me, very affected by if there's enough sunlight
And you
or
lived
not.
in Portland?
Oh my
Did we not
gosh.
think this through?
Not so much. I was definitely going to a spa that had red light
Gotcha.
3 times a week. And
And
that
it
was
helped.
huge for my mood. Oh my gosh, night and day difference.
Red light, huh?
Yeah.
I think Christmas is on the horizon. We're going to figure this out.
Shout out to Mito Red. They're actually a local company here in Scottsdale, and
Yeah.
they do local manufacturing, and they have the best red light devices on the market.
And you just take it all in. Just lay there.
You just stand there next to the light. You've got the little protective glasses.
Yeah.
Flip like a pancake. Make sure you're getting front and back, and it helps reduce inflammation in the body. It can also help with weight loss, skin quality. There's actually a lot of science and research coming out about it.
Okay. And are there red light saunas? Like where it's a hybrid of
Infrared.
both? Infrared saunas?
Infrared sauna. So it's not exactly, it's a different light wave frequency, but it's the one that is not visible to the eye. And so it penetrates deeper into the skin, helps with the inflammation and
Can you
overall
have them
health.
both? Can you sit in a sauna and hold the red light at the same time?
You know, I never thought to try that. The other device might overheat if you're holding it.
Yeah.
So I would probably stack them together, but not at the same time.
Sounds nice. Yeah. Okay.
It's pretty
Cool.
divine.
That's cool. Okay. Another question, relationships. And I don't know how to say it other than directly.
That's my favorite way for anyone to say anything.
Intimacy is a big deal.
It is.
Like that's
is.
a serotonin dump right there and a dopamine dump and all of the things.
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin. Yeah, that's
Yes,
not a
huge.
mood one. Well, yeah, it is a mood one for dudes because if
So
the intimacy's
oxytocin-
not there, they're grumpy.
Yeah, oxytocin, bonding.
Yeah.
Huge for bonding.
So how is that with high performers? Because your schedules are so busy. Like, and especially you throw kids into the mix and
Oh my
things,
gosh.
and then all of a sudden we're not connecting. What's your advice there?
Your calendar is your best friend.
Okay.
And I think this is where a lot of high performers miss the mark, is they think everything should be organic or it's not romantic.
That's a thing.
But actually, routine allows the brain to get excited in anticipation. Set dates for intimacy. Cannot recommend enough. Put it on your Google Calendar. Have a discussion. Schedule it.
Really? Just like that?
Yes.
Is it possible to schedule it every day? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
You have to talk about your partner about
Yeah,
that one.
Okay, cool.
But scheduling intimacy is so important too, because just like a date. So what happened in the dating phase versus the marriage phase, as you're well aware, is there would be anticipation building before the date.
Because you're going on a date.
You know you're
gotta
going.
Go pick her up.
You have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you get that excitement because you have something to look forward to. We get in relationships and we think we shouldn't set dates for things like intimacy. But actually setting the date for it allows the excitement to build.
Gotcha.
You know, this is the time. This is the time we're going to get to connect. So you have
Gotcha.
something to look forward to. There's also delayed gratification.
Gotcha.
So you are activating all the chemicals to create more connection and deeper intimacy.
Well, and then it comes down to like integrity.
Yes.
100% of being able to stay true to the calendar, because it's the worst if you are a high performer and then you set the date to go on a date and then kids' schedules get in the way or something gets in the way and it's like, oh, sorry, that like deflates. Talk about integrity in a relationship.
Yes.
Where does that fall?
Integrity, in my opinion, is the number one value.
Okay.
And I think it's number one value for a lot of high performers because you don't achieve things unless you live in integrity. Unless you are living in alignment with the things you are saying, you're not going to go far in life, or if you are, it's going to be built on something that is not stable. And so if you apply that then to your relationship, if you are consistent with your partner the same way, treat your dates like you would business meetings. Show up early or you're not on time. And be there, be present, be fully there.
Okay.
And when we can treat our partner with the same level of respect and integrity that we do people in business,
Better. Yeah. Or even treat them better.
better.
Yeah.
But at a bare minimum, with the same level of integrity in terms of your time,
Right.
they're going to appreciate it and feel it.
I like it. Okay. What have I not asked that I need to ask?
I think just some of the myths about dating or relating as a high performer.
Okay.
I think
What are those?
one of the biggest myths is that the honeymoon phase has to end.
I agree. I think you should keep it the whole time.
And with intention, you can. So
Okay.
when we have the frame that the honeymoon phase is the first 3 months and then the rest is on autopilot,
Not true.
not true at all. And that's what you're going to rise to and you're going to think is your ceiling. So it's all about lifting the ceiling in your relationship.
The intention.
Intention. And the belief, too, that that is possible. It will make you creative about how to create it.
Okay. What's another myth?
Another myth is that fighting is healthy
Oh,
and normal.
that's going to shake up a whole bunch of stuff.
Absolutely.
Fighting is not healthy and it's not normal. That's what you're
Absolutely
saying.
not.
Okay.
If you even look at Alex and Layla Hormozy, they talk
Yeah.
about this a lot. How they have discussions and disagreements, not fights.
Okay.
And the way that we can make that possible, and that is not to shame anyone who is listening if you've had fights and disagreements, fights instead of disagreements. We all have. But if you can start holding yourself to the higher standard of, I'm going to approach conversations in a regulated state, and if I start to feel dysregulated, I'm going to name the emotion because that actually softens it. So if you start to get frustrated, say, hey, I'm starting to feel frustrated. Cool. And come back down to a regulated state.
Gotcha.
Because emotional regulation isn't about not having the highs and lows. It's actually about how quickly can you return to baseline when you're triggered.
Okay.
That is emotional regulation.
Powerful.
And when you can think of it that way and just hold yourself to the higher standard of, I'm going to attempt to have every one of my disagreements simply be a discussion
Fair.
instead of a fight. Setting the intention.
I like it.
It's powerful.
So fighting is not normal and it's not okay.
No,
I like that a lot.
we don't need to do that.
That's a good one.
You don't fight at work. Well,
No.
maybe you do, but I think anybody who's successful does not.
Yeah,
You don't
very
have
few.
screaming matches at work.
Oh, no.
Why would you have that at home?
Yeah, I don't know why you would. It makes sense. Okay. Is there a third myth?
There's many myths, but
Okay.
I would say the third one that I think is that you have to have regular quality time or your relationship's going to fall apart. There are going to be seasons, not where people are going to Antarctica, but there are going to be seasons when you just can't have the same amount of quality time. There's still things
dude.
you can do to make your partner feel loved.
That's very true, especially when you throw kids in the mix.
Oh, absolutely.
You throw kids in the mix, and this has been and this is just me being vulnerable. There have been things with my wife where I'm like, do I count? Do I matter anymore? Like, which to her credit, like, dude, your job is so much harder than my job. 7 kids is demanding.
That's
like,
impressive.
She's a rock star. She's the best. But like, it doesn't change the fact that I'm human sometimes, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure they got all the attention already, and I'm over here by myself. What's happening right now? But if you look at it through the lens of, dude, this is just a season. Kind of like what you said with Antarctica. Mm-hmm. This is a season. You're my homie. You're my girl. I love you. We're getting through this.
Exactly.
That takes a ton of the pressure off.
It does. Yeah. And the invitation to you would be in those moments when you're not feeling that level of affection, figure out what is the one thing she could do that would help you feel loved and ask for it. Can you think of something? Is there one thing?
Well, I'd have to use your BRAVE framework. I'd have to ask for some time. I'd have to be like, hey, just... Because if I go in when she's in the heat of the moment, like,
oh, no,
kidding,
that's not the right time.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. That's just going to... I'm like, hey, in addition to all the other stuff you're doing, I need you to do this one thing for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's even something you could set, say, a calendar reminder.
Yeah.
10 minutes, once a week.
So you're big on the calendar.
I'm big on creating systems in your relationship until it becomes organic.
Okay.
Then you don't have to. But initially, setting the intention, creating systems within the relationship, and then you actually can move into a state where you don't have to live so intensely by that.
But then you'll want to, because it's the state of normal.
You built the habit.
Yeah, that's huge. Because in fitness, that's very much it. When you have a client and you're like, hey, listen, I need you every Sunday morning, you're going to do your check-in form. Mm-hmm. You're going to send me your pics, just put it on your calendar. I need you, when you're going to the gym, put it on the calendar. Like, and then it just becomes a part of it, and then that's just who you are.
Exactly.
But in the beginning, when someone is not used to the game
it's not routine yet.
Yeah, they're not used to the game of fitness, then you got to do it. You're going to track your macros. No, you're going to track your macros. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That makes perfect sense.
And
I
that's
had never
the way
thought
you
about it
build
with a relationship.
Courage is like a muscle.
Okay.
If you're not training it regularly, it atrophies. It becomes scarier and scarier to ask for the things you want and need if you haven't done it in a while.
So true. So true.
And how do we operationalize it? Like any other type of fitness, we put it on our calendar.
Wild. Okay, we got 3 myths. I want 2 more. Can we do 2 more?
Yeah, sure, we can do 2 more.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is that you have to work on traditional timelines. So, meaning, a lot of times we're told, wait 6 months before I say, I love you. Don't make plans further out than the amount of time you've been dating. We have all these weird, right? We have all these weird frames around how long things should take or shouldn't take.
Right.
And with that becomes a lot of pressure. And remembering that your path is your path, especially as a high performer. You move quickly everywhere else. It doesn't mean I'm recommending other people meet and marry in less than 6 months, but it does mean that you get to co-create whatever the timeline that works for you. I know plenty of couples that have had kids before they got married. I know couples that have moved in after a few dates. I know couples who have done everything under the sun, and it does not matter as long as you're both clearly communicating what it is you need and what it is you want.
Okay, so timelines are not a thing.
Not a thing.
It's clear communication. This is what I want. Now, okay, let's say this. Let's say that it's clearly communicated. This is what I want. And then they clearly communicate, this is what I want. Those 2 things are in alignment. We get down the road 2 weeks, and they're like, that's not what I want anymore. Now that you've given it to me, this is not what I want. You just revisit the conversation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you're always revisiting the conversation.
Right.
How many times have you changed goals in business?
Yeah.
We all have.
Right.
And that's not bad, especially the smaller goals. But if your larger goal is the relationship, then the little goals that lead up to it can shift and evolve over time.
And so this is why the values is so big.
It's so big.
If one of you is valuing, hey, marriage is we're doing it, and then that's forever, and the other one's like, nah, I'll give it a shot, there's going to be a conflict there. So
exactly.
Let's rewind to that part real fast. And so 1, values, and then lifestyle values.
Yep.
Okay.
2 kinds of values.
And then you can build chemistry from that.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Okay.
And actually, my husband and I both had lists of the things we wanted in a partner before we met. And
Really?
we had almost forgotten about them because we use them as a filtering process separately. I dated a whole lot more than he did. But when we got together, about a month in, we showed each other our lists. We were 100% of each other's lists. And he had an extensive one. He had like 14 things on there. It was really unnecessary. His list, way longer than I would recommend to clients.
14?
14 different things.
Really?
Yeah, everything from family values to independence. There's a huge list, which was great. But ultimately, I think keeping the list clear, 6 items, 10 max, ideal.
Okay.
Because you also need to be knowing what you're going to ask about on those dates to elicit the answers to those questions.
Gotcha. So now let's say a couple's been married for 20 years.
Love it.
Is there questions that you have to reestablish those connections in marriages that have already been going for a minute?
Yeah.
Cool. Very
And
cool.
a lot of the questions too are, what are you excited about? What has changed in terms of what you want for our future? Continuing to build that connection through aligned visions. Because if you think about kind of the stages of relationships, we have chemistry is usually what starts the relationship. There's a lot of it at the very beginning. And then you have intimacy, which is developed through received bids of connection. So I reach for your hand, you grab my hand. I invite you to something, you say yes. So continuing those bids of connection and them being well received is what deepens intimacy. And then the next layer down is connection. And connection is really ultimately created through having shared vision.
Really?
Yes.
So chemistry,
Intimacy, and connection. And that's actually the framework from the Gottman Institute, which is one of the largest bodies of research in terms of marriages specifically and relationships.
no, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And the funny thing is that like, and this is maybe a tangent,
Love it.
but with social media, with the devices in our hands all the time, with all of the thing pulling at our attention as a high performer, to actually get to connection takes a ton of effort, a ton of just being present, or you'll never, because one, the chemistry is not there because you can't even make eye contact. 2, the intimacy is not there because you're not even present to take the invitation or the bid of connection.
Yeah.
Okay, wild. It's
And I think-
it's a problem. You got some work to do. Not you. Well, yeah, you do. Part of the purpose.
Metaphorically.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's what I love to help people on because we are living in such a different time now. And so even with dating, I always recommend to people, yes, you can do apps, whatever that may be, but go places where people who have similar values would be.
Gotcha.
Go in person, meet people in real life
Yeah.
because you can tell so much so quickly just by a few short interactions.
Makes sense. Beautiful. Okay, Melissa. Final
Yes.
question. You ready?
Yes.
Wait, we need one more myth. We only got 4. So
Yes,
what's our
the
fifth
fifth
myth?
one is that compatibility is the key to a thriving relationship when courage is actually the key to a thriving relationship. Because we are so hyper fixated on we have to be the same on everything.
No.
There's an over fixation, yes, on that compatibility piece. Yes, there needs to be enough there in terms of values and lifestyle values, but you do not have to be the same. I cannot tell you how many things I am opposite on as my husband. And some of my favorite relationships that I've seen are the best relationships are ones where they're open to what the other person brings to the table and they have the courage to share the things they need, what they want from the relationship. So focus on being courageous in your relationships versus being exactly the same as the person in front of you.
Perfect.
Especially for high performers.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay. Last question.
Here for it.
So, of all the things you've shared, a lot of really good stuff. But the whole idea of Sell Anything is we want people to be sold on themselves. Because you can really sell anything if you believe in yourself. So, what's one piece of advice that you would give the audience so they could be more fully sold on themselves? So they can bring their best self to their relationship.
I think the thing to be fully sold on yourself is understanding that courage and confidence are interrelated. Specifically, when you continually confront your fears, act from a place of courage, you are going to build confidence to show up fully as yourself. Confidence is not something you have or don't have. It is built through action.
Okay.
And that's the thing is anything in relationships, in sales, everything is a skill. And any skill can be built.
I like that. I like that a lot. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for everything you shared. It's inspiring. Your book, where do people go get it? Can they pre-order it?
It's not quite ready for pre-order yet, but go to
Okay.
peakperformancelove.com, and then I'll have the ability for people to say, hey, I want to be on the wait list for the book.
Very cool. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep.